This is the Erskin Music Show. We are live. Exciting to see you guys. It looks like having a lot of fun up there on the screen. So, put this guy up here. That's me, and this is the Erskin Music Show, the Friday edition. We've got a great friend, special guest, Bill Zufelt, who's going to be joining us today, and I'm excited about that. This is going to be some encouraging time for you. There's a lot of negativity that's out there, and so get ready for a great show today. We're back. We're ready to go here at the Erskin Music Show. And I forget who I got this shirt from today, but I'm going to give a shout out to FBC. Yeah, it says FBC Henderson. And so thank you guys for representing. I love this shirt. Very comfortable. And I always wear these shirts to remind myself to be praying for you guys. And you can see Ruby and Scooby are in the background there. They've got their shirts on today. Big Head is in the back watching over the show. Excited about what's going on here. Looking very optimistic back there, Big Head. So we got a great show today, and I wanted to start with a verse of scripture, as we normally do. Here we go from Psalm 46, verse 1, a verse that is near and dear to my heart, as this sort of became the theme when I first began in ministry, that God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in time of need. And so, man, we really need to hear that message. We really need to internalize that and embrace that, even in these days, where there's so many things that are going on. We just need to cling to the Lord, put our faith, our hope, our trust in the Lord. And if you're joining us here today from the Facebook Live audience, I want to say good morning to you guys. Thank you guys for being so faithful and joining each day. For the YouTube audience, you guys are coming on strong. I was looking at the metrics of that, and all around the world, you guys are rallying together. We've got some friends, we've got family members that are joining in. So if you're part of my family, what's up, fam? Thank you guys for your comments each day. If you're one of my friends, even my friends abroad, so good to see you guys. Let's all remember that God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in times of trouble. And man, we have had some rocky waters. If you guys listened to the show yesterday, you realize that, man, there's a lot of different things. Cat lovers were upset yesterday. Homeschoolers were upset yesterday. People who, are just frustrated and at a boiling point about racism in America and relationships between police and individuals in the Black community. Woo! It's been a rough week, but I'm telling you, the next guest that I'm about to bring on here is going to be a breath of fresh air. This brother is a great friend of mine who has moved here from California. I'm not going to tell his story because I like to keep my pattern simple. I'm going to ask him who he is, but we're going to share some pretty fun stories of how we've gotten to know one another, what we've had a chance to do together. And if you're an artist that's out there, yes, you artists that's out there, as you're watching this show, you'll kind of get a sense of how things work in the music industry. I know there's a couple of people who called me and they're like, hey, I want to move to Nashville. I want to be part of the music industry. I want to do what you do. I want to travel and speak, travel and play, travel and do all these different things. As you're watching this show, hopefully this is the background of what it is that happens in the music industry and how we get a chance to do what it is that we do. It's because there's a lot of people who are working together to make this thing happen. As you see, I put it on the show on the Friday edition, the PayPal link. Some of you guys have been very generous, and so I thank you for that. Thank you so much for participating with the show, getting off the ground. And now you can see that we've got more bells and whistles, and that's all because you love this show. And hopefully when this is all said and done, you will love the Lord even more as we get a chance to journey and experience this together. So let's, without further ado, bring our man, Bill Zufelt, to the screen.
I love it that you did that.
What's up, my man?
Oh, man. Just keeping busy and blessed.
Yes, my friend. Let me ask you the question that I ask all of my guests here. I could have gone on and I could have done just a long tribute presentation, award ceremony of who you are and all the things that you've done. Instead of doing that, I'm going to ask you, who are you, Bill Zufelt?
Oh, wow. Where do I start? Well, I think I started out. Well, I mean, how far back do you want me to go?
I throw that question in there. It's a curve because what do people say about themselves? Like when it's an introduction, like
Yeah.
it's already handed there to you. But I mean, you literally could get on here this morning and say, I'm a dog lover, I'm a frisbee thrower, and I'm
Yeah.
one beggar trying to tell other beggars where to find bread. I mean, it's up to you. What do you want to say?
Well, I think in light of some of what's been happening this week, like in Minneapolis too, and all that, I actually, as a child, I lived in Richmond, California,
Okay.
and I was basically the white kid in the black neighborhood as a child. So to me, it's just shocking what's happening. I saw the video. I was highly disturbed and sick to my stomach. What happened. So, but yeah, so started out like poor and being on welfare as a kid. And then eventually my family, we moved to an upper middle class town in the Bay Area in California, but we were still the poor, the poorest in a town, upper middle class town. And so coming from just having to do as a kid, actually doing paper routes and finding ways to make money to even buy my own clothes, and to pay for, different things as a kid. And then fast forward into adulthood, just really having a drive to be successful at whatever I do. And so going through a few different careers and ended up doing real estate, and then eventually just fell into the entertainment industry, which was really not something I was even looking for. So, yeah.
Kid in the black neighborhood who grew up and now he's in the entertainment industry. I guess the part that's going to encourage a lot of people, and yeah, there's a lot of rough waters that are out there today.
Yeah.
We'll maybe touch on some of those things, but I think the part that is going to most encourage people, especially those that are in the music industry, is how did you get involved in entertainment? How did you get involved in, you kind of live in this managerial connecting world where you're beginning processes and you're beginning things that help artist development. How did that all take place?
Yeah, it's actually kind of a long story, but I'll try to give the short version. I was literally one Sunday after church meeting up with a young guy, Seth, who was just getting over addiction issues, and I was really trying to, be an encouragement to him. And I was standing in line waiting to order lunch, and the lead singer of the band started talking to me. He was standing in front of me, and he just started a conversation and said, "Hey, you should check out our music. This is the name of my band. Go online, check out our music, come to one of our shows." And so it just was a chain reaction from that moment, which is crazy. And I ended up checking out their music, and I was like, wow, these guys are actually pretty good. I'll go to one of their shows. So I ended up going to one of their shows. He saw me out in the audience. He gave a shout out from the stage. He's like, "Bill, I see you out there." And I was like, oh, wow, the guy remembers my name. That's pretty cool. And then I ended up becoming good friends with that band. And then as I was going to their events, they started having me backstage with them and joking around, "Hey, be our pseudo manager tonight, can you go talk to the sound guy and make sure, because it's not dialed in with the sound," and things like that. And then I started meeting some other bands through those guys, doing shows with those guys. And then I set up a benefit concert where I brought a team together. We ran the whole show, and it was the first, I'd never even done it before. And I just said, "Oh, let's do a benefit concert." And brought a whole team together. promoted the heck out of the thing. We had like 4 local bands in Sacramento, California. I promoted the heck out of it. 500 people showed up, and I was depressed because I wanted 1,000 people and it was only 500. And these guys in the bands were cracking up. They're like, Bill, we've never played in front of 500 people. You did really good. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess it wasn't a failure. And then a pastor that was at that concert came up to me and he said, "You're going to do this again." And I was like, oh, wow. Because I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to do this again.
I failed. I only got 500 people to come.
Yeah. And then it was within a year and a half, I was running Sarah Grove's show. I ended up partnering with an organization, Courage Worldwide. We did a couple more benefit concerts, did one for them. They really were impressed with it.
Look at him go. My
team and I did. And then they're like, "Hey, would you run Sarah Grove's show for us?" And I was like, "Oh, wow." And it was a huge, it was a much bigger, few thousand seats auditorium. We had, screens where we had to do camera work, like showing, the artist performing on screen. And so it was a whole higher level of production.
You had switchers and all these other things.
I could do that. And then I was like, oh no, I think I'm in over my head. Like, I've never done a big production like that. But we pulled it off. I was able to pull all the people together. I mean, it was, having the right people, having the team. And then they asked us, said, "Hey, would you run, we're doing a show for, with Jars of Clay. Would you run that show?" And I was like, sure. And I had been a big fan of
Jars of Clay. How hard could it be?
Yeah, I had been a big fan of theirs back in the day. And then here I am backstage and I'm running their whole show, So, and then it just kind of progressed into artist management from there. And it's just been a crazy chain reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. So the part that is intriguing to me is God is doing all these incredible things. He's using you. He's kind of brought you into a place where you didn't anticipate being there, but hey, there you are. You're saying yes to God.
Yep.
Brought us to Nashville. We're doing our thing. You're in California.
Yep.
I'm in Nashville. It seems like never the twain shall meet. I'm off doing my thing. You're off doing your thing. True. How did we actually even meet one another?
So I came out. I was doing a lot of trips to Nashville because I was managing a Christian rap artist, and I know there's some presence here for the Christian hip hop music, and
is there
Christian music in general?
I was gonna say, I met 3 Christian hip hop artists in about 7 years.
So yeah, I mean, it's the Christian music scene in general is pretty big. Most people know in Nashville. And I was making the trips out here just to network and things like that. And I had been invited to a dinner with Dreamers, which is something that's done by Kyle Sailors, who's here in town. And I was staying at his house when I was visiting, and he was out of town, and he let me stay at his house. And then he said, "Hey, could you meet up with a friend of mine he needs to get some stuff to me, and I'm out of town, and then you could just leave it at the house." And I was like, "Sure, no problem." And that person happened to be you. And so we ended up meeting in the parking lot at my real estate broker's office. And you handed me like some pots and pans.
Get to those dishes, man. Get to those dishes.
And I was like, okay. And then you said there was an envelope in there, which there was some money that you were getting to him. And so we started talking in the parking lot, and then you said, "Hey, we should go grab lunch." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So then we ended up grabbing lunch.
Where did we go?
It was all downhill from there.
Where did we go to lunch?
I believe it was Chipotle, right?
Boom.
Yeah.
Chipotle.
Yep.
All right. For those of you who love Chipotle, Chipotle is near and dear to my heart. For those of you that don't know this,
I like it.
My wife had cancer, came through that period about 3 or 4 years ago. And one of the things that they began to regulate was her diet in terms of what it was that she was eating. And so Chipotle, since it doesn't have all of the, pre-mixed and processed meats that are in there, we really started eating a lot at Chipotle, and that has really become one of our favorite places. And so it's near and dear to our heart.
See, that's new to me. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I have an affinity for Chipotle.
Yeah, I frequent Chipotle often.
So here's my next question to you. The Lord does some miraculous things. He brings you to Nashville. You're here now, and you're like, hey, I'm not just here to just be here and exist. I was made to thrive. So you're like, okay, I'm going to do something. And so what did you start doing?
Good question. Yeah, well, first of all, I'll talk about the fact that I was living in California thinking that I was going to just stay in California. And then God made it very clear to sell my house and move to Nashville. And it was,
come on, Abram.
My personality is, I just don't like change. I've taken a personality test, and that's one of the things that's one of my negatives is change. And so it had to be God for me to move across the country. Like, it was not my decision. It was not. But yes, moving out here and really didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing. But then ended up, moving in the direction of doing artist development. I had been managing artists for about 5 years and had figured out that I was going to move out of that. I wasn't going to do artist management anymore. So just trying to figure out, okay, what could I do? I love working in the music industry. I love working with artists, and figured out a way that I could actually work with multiple artists, which I thought would be really cool.
That checks all the boxes.
Yeah. And so I ended up creating the first artist boot camp that we had here in town last year. And we ended up having first boot camp, created it from scratch, sat down with a lot of artists and asked questions, asked, what are your needs? What are your biggest challenges? And just through doing all of that, that's how the boot camp came together, and how my formula and basically my template that I put together for the whole structure of it. And so we did the first boot camp last year. We had 23 artists that attended, and it was a huge success in the fact that my goal was for the artists to be encouraged and for them to, to leave motivated and to take things to a higher level with their music. And since then, I have seen a lot of these artists do that. It's been awesome to watch some of these artists take things to the next level and to see them out there more, see some of them touring, obviously before the virus happened. And so, yeah, that's what I've ended up doing. And then also too, I've put together some groups here in town, hangout groups where we do dinners together, and we have one music specific, and then we have one that's TV and movie industry specific, and those worlds do kind of overlap. We do have people that do music for TV and movies. They do music stinks and stuff like that and placements. And so
yes,
started those two groups, and yeah, it's been pretty cool.
So let me do this real quick. I'm going to fill in a couple of gaps for you guys, just so that like Bill and I have done stuff together, but it wasn't like almost planned and organized stuff. On one occasion, I was going to be out in California doing some stuff, and it just so happened in the providence of God that we were able to do some stuff at the same time. He was in California, I was in California, and we were able to do some things off of Hollywood Boulevard out there. Really exciting stuff that we got a chance to do and folks that we got a chance to meet, many of which I'm still in contact with today. So thank you for that. And then also here in Nashville, the boot camp that he's talking about, I just want to share with you guys, Nashville can be a very encouraging place, but it can also be a very discouraging place because there are so many factors that work against you. You know, you're trying to come to a new place. You're trying to get involved in the music industry in which everybody's got something that's going on. There's a lot of scammers that are out there. There's a lot of people who really don't know what they're doing that are out there. And you're trying to navigate those waters. And a lot of people, they get frustrated and they want to leave. And Bill has been able to, at the of disaster for some of these artists. He's not telling this part of it, but just really rescue and give a handout to these artists and pick them up as a result of this boot camp. So if you're out there today and you're thinking, hey man, I just need a lifeline, I just need something that's solid, I just need some artist development that's out there, because record labels, they don't do that these days, then find this. The information is right there on the screen. See, it's right there. Go check it out.
Sure.
Inspire Boot Camps. Yeah, it's right. It's scrolling down there. And so that's going to be a blessing to you. We definitely at Erskin Music support what it is that he's doing and try to, any way we can, involve ourselves in these boot camps. Normally, I'm on the road when these boot camps are happening, and so I haven't been able to participate. However, this year there's been a pause because of COVID, but that has not stopped Bill, and it has not stopped Spire Boot Camps. It has not stopped the amazing things that God is doing in his life. So, Bill, if you would, for just a second, bring us up to date. COVID, your desire to do boot camps, it just seems like everything should be over. But wait, you're thriving now. How did this happen?
That's very kind words, Erskin. I think... So having to postpone the boot camp, we had one planned this year in March, at the end of March. And everybody knows what happened starting the beginning of March. So that definitely, we ended up having to postpone it to a future date to be determined. And in all honesty, have no idea when we'll be able to do it at this point, just because of, the fallout from all of this. But that weekend, I did not want to, I was really discouraged in the fact that we couldn't do the boot camp. And at that point, I know people were struggling because of the virus had hit. And all of a sudden, everybody's gigs were being canceled. All their shows were being canceled. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do something still that weekend. So we ended up doing 2 1-hour sessions that weekend with my coach, and she did topics covering mindset, basically. So, and we did Zoom. So we did those Zoom meetings with her, and we ended up having about 40 people on each one that joined us for that. And kind of a neat thing, I ended up inviting people from the TV and movie industry into those Zooms also. And so we even had, it was really cool. And probably some of the people on there didn't even realize it, but we had some Hollywood actors on there and some big, some bigger names in the acting world that joined us. And it was just, it was a neat time. Those 2 sessions.
What was that?
In my mind, I was thinking, that's just something. It's just going to be a temporary thing. Were you saying something?
No, I was going to interrupt you. You go.
Oh, yeah. So we ended up starting a Facebook group called Inspired for people that are both in the music industry and the TV movie industries that can be in that group. And we did another one with an actor who's on the show Empire. And he shared his whole story about going from prison to Hollywood and his testimony as a Christian and how he came to God and all that. So that was really cool. And then we have future plans to be doing more of these until we can figure out when we can do some things, in person again. So, yeah.
So people want to get in contact with you. People want to see kind of what the next things are. You've got links that are down there. As Bill said, there's a lot of people who are just kind of waiting to see when things are going to
Yeah.
kind of normalize, things will stabilize, but he's going to be doing these boot camps and he's going to be doing these conclaves where artists are able to get together. If you're in TV, film, music, and a variety of other things, Bill's able to help you with that. Just a quick shout out here, maybe 30 seconds or so, but you also do real estate.
Yeah, I
So
do.
throw a little bit of that, sprinkle it in there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that that I do have a career in real estate besides doing all the entertainment stuff. As many of you know, in the entertainment world, it's not always easy to make money and make ends meet. So with the real estate, it's really financed me being able to do all the entertainment stuff. And with the real estate, I mean, in the middle of this virus, like I was worried about my income and thought everything was going to stop. And I'm having the best year ever. And I do sell homes both in Tennessee, Nashville, greater Nashville, and then in California and greater Sacramento. So, yeah. And I've had a lot of deals happening during this pandemic, which I think God's just, it's God's blessing, and I'm thankful.
And the reason why I wanted to mention that is because I heard from no less than about 3 artists who, before COVID was a situation for all of us to deal with, they had said, hey, I'm moving to Nashville. Do you know about anything? I'd love to get together when I get there. And my thought to them was, okay, moving to Nashville is a great, noble endeavor, but you need someplace to live.
Yeah.
And it's really important almost where you live in Nashville, because it's a crazy market. It's a very volatile market. There's a lot of shifting and changing that's going on. And so having that, will avoid the situation that we came into when we moved here. We literally moved to Nashville and we had no plan as to where we were going to live. Had it not been God prompting somebody that had been my wife's roommate that she hadn't probably talked to in about 10 years, her roommate in seminary, to give us a call and say, hey, we've got a house that we want you guys to come and look at. We heard you were moving to Nashville. Had it not been for that, we had absolutely no plan whatsoever. Now, we ended up in a good spot in East Nashville.
Yeah.
But those kind of things are miracles that the Lord does. Not everybody has to have that miracle. They can just call somebody like Bill and say, hey, can you give me some pointers where to live? What's going on in the market? I need to know. So I just want to give that shout out for artists.
Yeah, I definitely, and even if, they're not buying and they're going to rent, I can definitely guide them on, what parts of town, if they're looking at some of the apartment places. I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the luxury apartment buildings that are around town and stuff. So yeah, definitely don't hesitate to. And if they go to the Spire boot camps, which it's Spire boot camps plural, Instagram, that's okay. I mean, it'll still come up if they type that in, I think.
It's coming back up correctly.
So if you go to Spire Bootcamp's Instagram, you can message through there. If you're moving to Nashville, just message through there, and I can definitely get in touch with you.
Boom. One-stop shop, man. That's what I love.
Yeah.
Like I said, for the artists that are out there, man, this is a connect the dots kind of guy, man. He gets you connected with a whole bunch of different people in the industry. You're going to need a community, and Bill loves the Lord.
Yeah.
And so he's around people who love the Lord himself, and is very encouraging in that space as well. He also has people who don't, as of yet, have a relationship with Jesus that he has around him, who he's able to build into their lives and building community with them as well. And so just a great opportunity to meet a great dude. He has been a great friend of mine. Bill, I look at a person like you, and when I first came to Nashville, I thought Nashville is a thing that is completely different than who I am. It's the country music vibe. It's the established order of music. Even in the Christian music industry, it's so cliquey and it's so segmented to this is the way that we do things, that I prayed and I was like, Lord, if I'm only working with the people who are in Nashville, who have been here before, that's a good old boys network that I'm never going to be qualified for and that I'm never going to get into because of that brown skin there. And some other factors that are there. I don't want to just make it all a race issue, but it is a culture kind of issue as well. And Nashville is not necessarily my culture, But at the same time, a person like you moves from California. I'm like, the more bills that we have in this world who are adding to and contributing to, and I'll just say this on air in front of everybody, Facebook Live, YouTube Live audience, being able to work with people who don't care about the color of your skin, but care about the content of your character and the content of your music. That's Bill Zufelt. That's why he's on the show. And so it's been a joy for me to be able to work with you. It's been a rough week. What encouraging words can you leave us with as you get ready to leave the show here?
Man, I think there's a lot of fear out there. And I think people that don't have God especially are very fearful. And I think those of us that do have God just need to cling to him. And I think encourage people however we can, and have a mindset of coming from contribution. Like, how can I help other people? How can I encourage someone? And, especially now during this time, with the virus and people being hurt financially too, like just being able to, it might mean giving money to somebody to help them through a rough patch, and just asking God to show you who you can help, and who can encourage.
That's a strong word, my friend. Hey, Christian, that biblical worldview, that's one of the reasons why I do this show, is so that people can see there's a difference. There's a lot of talking heads that are out there, but there's a difference when a music artist who's out there grinding, trusting the Lord, believing, faith in Christ, and then seeing the difference that makes in life. It's not that we don't go through troubles, because you already mentioned that, Bill. Like, everybody was affected by COVID. I was on the road doing shows, doing tours and stuff, but hey, you know what? We're here now. Yeah. God is still good. This show has been a blessing. Having people like you on has been a blessing. I think we're getting together next week, right?
Yeah, we are. We're grabbing lunch.
Yeah, we're having lunch. So things are starting to open back up. And
play.
Yeah, well, we'll find a spot.
Yeah.
Even if it's a grassy knoll somewhere.
There you go.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for coming on this show. Man, we love you, and keep doing what you're doing, building into people's lives, building the infrastructure of music, and elevating the Lord Jesus Christ. And like I said, we're getting together next week for lunch.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
We'll keep this rolling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me, Erskin.
All right, take care. That was Bill Zufelt, who was joining us there. You see his information. I'll leave it there at the bottom of the screen for a little bit. Great conversation. Diving into some topics there that are just sort of the glue that holds the music industry together. There's artists that are out there, the writers, performers, instrumentalists, producers, but you need those bridge people to kind of connect the dots between management, artist development, and then being able to launch artists out in their career. And so, exciting interview today. I wanted to put a couple of links up for my music as well. You may be watching this for the first time and thinking, who in the world is this guy Erskin? I've got some good news for you. Good news! One of the things that's I'm about to unveil, and I guess I'll transition now into some announcements, is on Monday, you will be treated to the cartoon character Erskin music. And so I'm really excited about this. I got the cartoon character yesterday, and it looks like me. There's a cartoon video that's coming out of a song that I'm going to be on. It's a children's song. And so you guys kind of wonder sometimes, I'm in a lot of different worlds. Okay, I don't need that message on there. But a lot of different worlds, and one of those is a children's world. We've got a song called Made in the Image of God. Think we need to hear that message these days? I'd asked myself yesterday, obviously, if you were on the show yesterday, you heard the show yesterday, I spent the whole entire time talking about George Floyd, police brutality, and I tacked in homeschoolers there just because I love to talk about homeschooling. We do it. Gave the kids a test this morning, American history. What did we do today? We did Transcontinental Railroad all the way to the Industrial Revolution. So I gave the kids a test this morning. I think they did pretty well on that. So we're working our way through history. We homeschool. They've got theology class that they're studying for. Test is on Monday. They've got trombone class that I teach. We're doing those kind of things. I believe strongly in home education, and I believe that home education should be intentional. That's why we do it the intentional way. Even if you send your kids off to a school, their greatest primary influence is going to be you. So I dealt with that yesterday, but you guys know that I'm not going to be out in the streets rioting. You're not going to get that from me. You're not going to get any endorsement from me for going out and rioting and looting and burning people's businesses and things like that. That's not coming from this show. You'll never get that from here. That's not the way Christ would do things. Peaceful protest, there's a precedent for that, I believe. But also, I wanted to say that, I ask myself in situations like this, what can I do? On Monday, we're going to have Yancey Weidman, who's coming onto the show, and she's the creator of the song. I just sang on it with her, and we're on a cartoon character together, made in the image of God, and it deals with a lot of the issues that the world is struggling with. And instead of being heavy-handed with it and, in your face and people need to do this and, frothy and sweaty and mad and everything, I want to do a children's song. And we didn't just do this song. This was actually in the works. We did this last year. This has been over a year in the works. But this children's song is going to come out, I think, at the appropriate time. It's going to bless a lot of people's lives, and it's going to work with the next generation that's coming up and seeing things and seeing, how things have gotten messed up, but how things can be made right. And so that's on Monday. Normally on Monday, I just come on myself and just do my thing. And it's the Monday edition. I finally get a chance to run my mouth the whole entire time and play videos and stuff. But I'm going to bring Yancey on for a segment on Monday, and we're going to share the song. We're going to actually share the video. You guys will be able to see a sneak peek of it. It's coming out on June the 12th is what she is giving me. It's going to be in distribution everywhere. And so that song is coming out. That video is coming out. Cartoon Erskin is coming to you on Monday. And so you will not want to miss the Monday edition. We do this Monday through Friday. Monday is me. Tuesday is family. Wednesday is guest. Thursday is me. Friday is guest. But on a special occasion like we have on Monday, Yancey Weidman is coming on the show. If you don't know Yancey and you're a children's director that's out there, or you're somebody that prepares vacation Bible schools, you have got to know who Yancey is. She's world famous. Happens to be one of my friends. I don't know how that ended up happening. Providence of God. But Yancey is coming on the show on Monday. We did a song together called Made in the Image of God. I sang on it. And Cartoon Erskine and Cartoon Yancey are going to take over your world on Monday. So excited about that. You'll want to tune in on that show as well. Thank you guys again so much for joining. PayPal links and things are down there on the screen so that you guys are able to see that. Those of you who have supported the show in the past, we thank you so much for that. We got a full merchandise line, as you can see, Ruby and Scooby in the back that represent the shirts. Big Head is watching over everything there. If you need to contact me for any reason, you guys are welcome to do so. I would love to help you guys and love to share with you guys as much as possible. We're about to be done with this edition there, and my prayer this weekend is that as we have an opportunity to encourage each other, let's do that all the more as we see the day of Christ Jesus' return coming. Been a great edition here. We had Bill Zufelt on today. Man, great guest, great fan, and somebody you really want to meet. And if you're an artist out there, you really want to be a part of his boot camps. We support that boot camp and encourage that boot camp for all. So here you go. Erskin Music Show, Friday edition.